please welcome to the stage, Software Toolbox.
Testing. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andres Naranjo. I'm the CEO at Software Toolbox. With me is my team, Rod, who is our head of product and technology, and John Gonzalez, who leads our data ops platforms. We're very excited to be here today. I also realized it's a 2:30 p.m. crash. Everybody's now low on caffeine, so I'm going to try to keep it lively for you guys for the next 30 and gals for the next 30 minutes. Today, we are going to solve live 3 problems for you. First, if you have a unified namespace, we're going to extract insight and decision-making from that namespace by connecting to it live and using an AI tool called chatuns.ai. Number 2, if you do not have a unified namespace, we're going to create one that is contextualized, uses Sesame information, uses PLC information, and deploy it live. And number 3, because all of you likely have faced some type of connectivity issue, we're going to troubleshoot live connectivity issues using another AI agent called JohnJohn.ai, which has been affectionately named after our president and founder, John Webb. Let us begin. First, could I get end users to raise their hands? Who do we have here from the manufacturing world? Wonderful. Could you keep your hands up if you have a UNS deployed today at your factory or site? Okay, I saw like a so-so, yes, no. I actually just read a HiveMQ report, said 12% of organizations have a UNS deployed, 30% are considering it, 40% are in pilot. I actually talked to a customer last week that has one, but doesn't know what to do with it. So if you have a UNS and you can follow along in this demo with your phone, and even if you don't have one, you're gonna get to experiment one this week. And right now, you can take your phone out and go to chatuns.ai. Chatuns.ai, when you go there, it will ask you very quickly to create an account. We're just going to ask you for some very basic information. And there's a promo code called ProveIt 2026, which will give you access through the month of February. And more importantly, will preload the ProveIt UNS for you. So go ahead, and while you do that, we are going to sign in and get moving. When you log in to ChatUNS, you can connect any UNS via MQTT live on this application. Up there on the top left, if we click right on that, manage and connect. Sorry, let's click on manage. We just want to make sure we do the whole thing from the start.
Yeah, and just to add, the folks that are going to be creating an account, that ProveIt UNS, the actual virtual factory, it has been preset for you guys. So you're going to be able to just follow along by just clicking on connect, and it's going to start connecting and discovering all those topics.
As you connect to the UNS, it is going to live import all of the topics, and we've worked extra hard so that there is low latency and very high performance. I think when we started, there was about 6,000 topics. We are now north of 20,000 topics. That is going to seamlessly bring everything either to your phone, to your tablet, or to your laptop. This is the part where in the AI world you get a snack while the AI does all the things for you.
Just to provide a little insight of what it actually doing. In a real world scenario, your own UNS might be messy, right? So one of the things that the ProveIt UNS provides is a very messy UNS. What this is doing is not only just discovering the topics, it's trying to create a structure to try to understand exactly what is it that is discovering and about to give you insight about.
Wonderful. We're going to let this guy wait for just a second, and then we're going to ask a series of questions from this UNS that are going to help us make decisions, and a series of visualizations that are hopefully going to help us also understand what is happening in the plant or in the operation. And this one takes a little bit of patience. Yeah. Okay, so what you're seeing there is every site, every enterprise, every site, every machine that lives today in the ProveIt UNS has now been loaded for you in this application. All it took was a URL, a user, and a password. That's it. No fancy plumbing. what are we going to go do next? Let's go explore. Let's go to Enterprise A. And the Opto 22 folks were just up here. So why don't we click on Opto 22? By clicking on Opto 22, I am giving this application context. I am telling it, I want to know what is in there. But guess what? I don't even know what to ask Opto 22 because I don't know anything about utilities. So one of the major things we've done here is if you press that question mark icon down there, it is going to use the research capabilities of an AI model to suggest what are the hardest operational questions that you should be asking of your UNS. So in about 5 seconds, I hope, a series of questions have started now scrolling here at the bottom. So for example, it is saying, how does compressor 1's total true power compare to compressor 2? Okay, that sounds like fun, interesting to know. You're going to tap on that. One of the reasons we've done this is, in our current state of the world, a human makes 42 mistakes for every 100 words typed. So even typing a question has become hard. So this helps you automate that. If you were on your phone, you just tap on that pill. That question is now on there. All right, immediately this has gone to the UNS. It has done a series of things. It has looked at the data and done a calculation for you on what that could look like. Let's try another question. We could ask it, for example, how much more energy or how much more power is compressor 1 consuming? Yeah, there it is, the question, the type of consuming versus compressor 2. And so you have now used this to contextualize it, suggest the questions, and get an immediate answer. Now, let's take it further. Let's wait for this answer. Perfect. So it's going to give me a differential there, and if I wanted to ask it for suggestions, I could. But let's go back to the UNS Explorer and find another site. In this case, let's just go to Enterprise A, which most by now should be familiar with the Dallas site. And let's click on Dallas. And let's say that I've hired somebody new, and that person just wants to get acquainted with what is in there. They can ask a question such as, can you give me an operational description of this site? Simple starting point. And what this is going to do is it's going to consume the totality of tags and information, anything that is in the JSON payloads, anything that is in the descriptions, and automatically generate for you a synthesis, a data-rich synthesis of what is in the UNS. Again, lots of snacking and lots of caffeine while AI is doing the work for you. And there it is. This one is saying it's a glass container line. Here's roughly what it does. And I could then proceed to ask it any question. For example, can you tell me what is the level of raw material in the batch house? Would be a good question to ask. I was basically living in a juice plant 2 years ago. One of the main reasons that the line got stopped was the raw material ran out upstream in the raw material supply, and the other half the time was because the guy that drove the forklift did not show up. It had nothing to do with the machines. The machines are made by the Japanese and the Germans. They do not fail. So there's a good example of if you have supply chain data that you're enriching from an MES, from an ERP, you can query that and ask it real questions in one single source. So hopefully this is going to go and look up what's in the batch house, what's in there, what are the levels, come back to me and say, great, I have some silos. Here are the levels of each of those silos. And now I could ask it, can you tell me when I need to reorder raw material for these silos? Somebody might have not read the manual. Somebody may have simply not know, or just somebody may get asked that question at in a room. And one of the great things that this application does is we have grounded it dramatically so that it doesn't just throw you an answer. If it doesn't find an answer, it will tell you, I have a data gap. There's something I don't know, so that you can go and remediate this data in the backend and bring it forward. In this particular case, I'm hoping it's going to tell you that it cannot calculate it because there are no reorder points set. So if we go up there, it's saying, What I can do, right, is get a reorder rule or tell you what are the levels. So we might ask it, tell me what the reorder, when would I need to reorder if I consume 20% every day?
Reorder what again?
When I consume.
If I am willing to reorder when I consume 20% every day. Let's see what it does. And so there are no limitations whether you're asking it machine questions, site questions, operational questions, or questions specific to a device. And we're going to test it pretty hard on a couple of UNS. Great, so it's now taken, done a heuristic. You gave it a heuristic. It's calculated it. Say you wanted to graph that. We have enabled a multimodal model. So if you were to tap that chart, we think dashboards are out. We think generative visualization is in. And so if you were to tap that, it's going to use the best model out there for image generation. And great, it's just made a visualization right there for you, which you can tap and use and reuse. Let's do one last test. Why don't we go to Enterprise C? Let's go to Enterprise C, which I don't really fully understand. And I think it's Chrome. So one of the things we wanted to demonstrate in Enterprise C, so let's ask it again, can you give me an operational description of this site? Because I am I don't proclaim to have any working knowledge of this particular type of site. And one of the things we've done is we have fed this application a corpus of regulatory content. So in the case of pharma, where you have CFR 121, and in the case of some food and beverage applications where the same applies, we have given this application that type of data so that it can help you, guide you in decisions or things like that. So again, it has described the site for me, roughly what's in there, but we're going to ask it a regulatory specific question, such as, can you point to risk indicators of not being in CFR 121 compliance?
I think it's 21.
CFR 121 compliance.
That's what I.
Great. Even if you misspelled compliance, the models are smart enough to know
I always do
that
that.
you can, what exactly it is. So again, we have accounted for, you're going to make mistakes. You just need to tap questions. You don't know what you don't know. And so the application is going to guide you.
Yeah, if I may add,
Great.
one of the things that we're able to do is have a great pipeline to be able to train this model, to be able to provide more regulations. I know that CFR 21 is one of them, but there's latitude of regulations that we can definitely continue to train it on.
Okay, so what it tends to do in many of these situations, maybe it's telling you I don't see data for specific events. Some tags are empty. If you keep going down, it cannot find the audit trail, which is critical in CFR 121. Some things are unexplained, sensor plausibility issues, etc. All of these things might help you produce a plan to be in compliance. So, to summarize, if you have a UNS, you can go to chatuns.ai today, plug in via MQTT, and start asking away what are the questions that you need, copying and pasting your answers, or visualizing. If you do not have a UNS, let's go to the next slide. We are bringing a new capability as part of the software toolbox group of products that we provide, which is Neuron. Neuron is a data contextualization platform. It basically has data acquisition modules that connect to just about everything, and data delivery modules, such as an MCP server, a DMP server, etc. Works on both Windows and Linux, and we are the distributor for it for the United States of America. Let's see it in action. So the environment at Neuron looks like this. Now, raise your hand if you've been to a ProveIt demo before and someone's shown you a tool like this. Yeah, my eyes spin, I go crazy, so we're gonna make this one quick. This one is very straightforward. Over here are modules, which are components that help me acquire data. We are gonna do three things. Number one, we have imported a data model that is the same as the UNS data model of ProveIt. We also have up there, now that has, again, site one, a filling line, a cap loader, all of that. Number two, we're going to enrich that model with a Sesame Smart manufacturing profile. So one of the great things about Neuron is you can have templates, replicable items that you can replicate across a unified namespace. In this case, what we've done is we have imported from GitHub a Sesame Smart profile that identifies a machine. This is actually a cap loader, a filler, and a washer. You're going to see the details of that in a minute. And note, it does not exist in the current model. And just by dragging and dropping it, we have added that data, or in this case, metadata, to that specific node in the filling line. If I had a great template for what that looks like, I could add it, say, to another filling line. And all it takes is drag and drop. One of the great things about this is simply replicability. Okay, so now I have a UNS. I've added Sesame data to it. One of the things I've been very surprised to see is lack of PLC data. For some reason, none of the UNSs that are present today at ProveIt have any PLC data. I don't really understand why, because no PLC, no data, and no data, no operation. So what we thought we would do is connect to an OPC UA client. We live very firmly in the OPC UA space through our top server product. We're going to find there an object that is a ControlLogix, a PLC. It's got in there a bunch of tags. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they are. We are simply going to take the totality of that and add it to the filling line. So I've taken my OPC server, which was over here, added it to the UNS, and now I have a nicely enriched UNS, which has my line, my site, my line, my machines, and not only do I have Sesame machine metadata, but actual PLC information. What we are going to do now is publish this thing in one last click over to the ProveIt UNS. And so again, what we wanted to show you is how easy it is to simply take this platform, unify multiple data sources. You will note there it had connectors to pretty much everything. So if you wanted to add ERP data to that, if you wanted to add historian to that, anything with an MCP server, all of that is clicks. And one of the wonderful things about it is simply the ability to templatize things and copy and paste. So you may have a great definition, for example, for one site and export that to another site. Okay, now we're going to refresh the unified namespace that we connected to earlier, and hopefully, if this works, which it should.
It always works in testing, right?
Yep.
It's going to show you that.
Not there yet. Let me double check something. Make sure this is yes.
There you go. Sometimes it needs a little refresh, a little refresh kicker.
Let's give it another kick.
We purposely did not publish a UNS so that you could see that we are not updating it. You will see there is no software toolbox UNS published right now.
Not yet seeing it.
Yeah.
It can take a moment.
Yeah. Not there yet. Should I check MQTT Explorer?
Yeah, you probably. We're going to go ahead and check the MQTT Explorer to see.
Yeah, sure.
Over there real quick.
Yep.
Right, so there it is in the MQTT Explorer. It's published. It's the filler production. It's got the filler. It's got the node. And hopefully in there.
It's filler production 1. Let me see other ones.
There it is,
There it is.
with the Sesame machine identification. Let's give it a second to refresh in the application. Okay, why do we want to do this is the main question. One of the things that we do for a living is solve thorny connectivity problems. And so if you're able to bring forward your connectivity information, simply what type of PLC you have, what type of device you have, one of the things that we have done in our application is add a full knowledge base of all the support cases we've ever had and of our knowledge base. So that if your controls engineers are trying to troubleshoot connectivity issues, this can give it straightforward answers on how to do it. So again, we want to make sure we don't fake it here. We want to make sure we prove it. So we've disconnected from the UNS. We're going to reconnect to it to ensure that you can see the software toolbox UNS. And we're going to ask it to solve some hard control logics, I guess, because of control logics, some connectivity problems.
Yep.
Again, it's 20,000 topics, so it might take 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, I will say it's been great to see all the vendors pushing all their topics to this UNS that ProveIt has provided for us. Man, it started with 4,000 topics. Now we're talking about 20,000 topics. So every time that people keep pushing more data, it's trying to figure out how to be able to contextualize that data in a way that is insightful for you as the user to make sure that you're getting answers that are going to help you with what you need, right?
While it loads, let's maybe go to the slides, and I'll just summarize for folks while that loads in 1 second. Okay, if we go back. So very quickly, 1, Chat UNS. You can connect to any unified namespace, get questions, get visualization. No, go back. 2, if you don't have a UNS, Neuron is the solution to fundamentally aggregate any data from any source and publish that data. We are publishing that via MQTT, but that has an MCP server, so you could also choose to do that if you have other agents different than our agent. And then 3, shortly after this finishes loading, if you go to the next slide, we're going to show you yet another piece of AI. One more, please, called John AI. And so what this one does is we have added to what is called a retrieval augmented generation, not to get too detailed in the AI world, but basically a knowledge base, a corpus of all our support cases and our knowledge base to ensure that if you have a connectivity problem, you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. All right, let's go back and see where the load 20,000 topics is. There it is. Okay, let's...
There it is.
There it is, Software Toolbox. All right, so this is published successfully, took a minute. And we have built in 3 minutes a UNS, added Sesame data, added PLC data. And if you click that, it was a washer.
I think the washer has it. No, it's another fill line. Yep.
There it is. Okay, wonderful. And it has in there the controller, correct?
Yeah. But in this one, you want to talk about the Bradley or?
Yeah, the Allen Bradley, yeah.
Okay, so it's this one. Yeah. We don't see it.
Okay, perfect. So, again, we could take the same approach, ask it any questions, etc. Last part of the ProveIt. Let's ask it some hard connectivity questions. If you take your phone and you go to johnjohn.ai, which again is part of Chat UNS, then the application defaults to connectivity mode. It is no longer defaulted to answering your questions, getting your data, but it is purposely knows that you are trying to solve a connectivity problem. So let's pick one. Let's pick one. We were going to literally live get one of the issues that we had today. And so this is very strongly tied to our suite of products: Top Server, Cogent Data Hub, which our friends are here, Omni Server, OPC Router, will pretty much work for any of the major, 140, 150 drivers that are out there. And it has the full history of Software Toolbox's support cases. So if you find a problem that it can't solve, we'd love to hear what that is. We have been testing it ourselves, and this is how we resolve a lot of our support cases now. So if you go up, we asked it a question there around, go back up, I didn't see. Oh yeah, okay, I just asked it a generic question. Top 5 connectivity issues I see with Allen Bradley. It's gonna tell you what it has seen based on our distribution. You can keep on going from there. It might suggest sources. So some of these are our sources or from our help desk. It is incredible. If you paste an error code, it will tell you what the error code is and what the suggested fix is. And again, the easiest thing is if you have controls engineers that are on the floor today facing connectivity issues, all they need to go is go to johnjohn.ai, copy and paste the error, and this will give them a solution. We have taken the time, which has typically been around 2 hours, all the way down to 15 minutes to resolve some of these issues.
I think if I add, one of the great things that we have been able to do with johnjohn.ai is the that we were able to train it as how our engineers think on how they're going to be able to engage with you guys and any automation labor personnel. So when you see at the end, he's asking you very specific questions. These are the typical questions that sometimes you guys forget to send to us, but that's definitely what we always try to achieve to be accurate on that solution.
Wonderful. All right, let's land the plane then, and then go back to the slides. So to finish off, if you have a UNS, you can go today to chatuns.ai. The promo code is ProveIt 2026. It is preloaded in the sign up. Even if you use it this week, you will have the preloaded unified namespace from ProveIt, and you can ask it questions and see how it will work, okay? After that, typically it is $125 per site per month for up to 5 users. So you have a team that needs to be getting insight, needs to get questions answered. There's a great fit for them. Number 2, if you need to build a unified namespace, then the course of action we would suggest is Neuron. That has both a gateway and the data ops hub, which is what you saw. That is priced on a subscription per month, and it comes by modules. So it includes up to 50 modules. Those are all the ways in which you can acquire data. If you go the Neuron route, we will include ChatUNS. So I really like it when we say, nobody sees the plumbing, everybody sees the paint job. You know, Neuron is the plumbing, but ultimately the application you will end up using is ChatUNS. So I want to make sure that you have that right off the bat. Lastly, if you are a valued customer and you use Top Server, OPC Router, Cogent Data Hub, or any of the major products that deal with OPC servers, tunneling, bridging, then as part of your support agreement, you'll be getting JohnJohn.ai. Also, in the next few weeks, you're welcome to use it and see how good it is at troubleshooting connectivity issues. And that is the demo. Thank you all.
Wow, that was incredible.
All
Thank
right.
you guys for your presentation. Everyone, if you have questions, please, let's scan the Slido. Can we get the Slido up? Or, sorry, I thought you can leave this one maybe so they can scan it, but the Slidos are over there. You can submit your questions. While you guys are doing that, I actually have a question for you.
Fire away.
So I work exclusively in the life science industry, so they are very particular about their intellectual property. If you're going to use John, is there any way to kind of prevent keeping their IP from just going into your back-end database or your storage or being shared with anyone else?
Yeah, great question. So we do get that a lot. So 2 things to say. First, none of the information that is being received is ever used to train or retrain or do any of that, much like you would do in ChatGPT, because it doesn't really matter to us. Second, in a situation where somebody has very strict policies, for example, we talked to some oil and gas clients, we would typically do an enterprise deployment. So what that means is that a lot of those, whatever are their particular compliance policies, we would island it to fit exactly that.
Awesome.
So that's how that would work. I came from the AI world and the cloud world. I do encourage people to take their data out to dance. Sometimes I feel like data is a bit like the car that's sitting in a garage or the dress that nobody wore. And so for a lot of things, I tell my team a lot, like in '99, we didn't put credit cards on the internet. And when the cloud came along, we can't put customer information in the cloud. Everybody has Salesforce by now. So more and more, I encourage folks to use the power of the cloud because that's where the compute is. But if it is a hard constraint, then enterprise deployment is the way.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, well, as my role as MC, I do have to ask you one question. Maybe I missed it. I think you did a great job of explaining the problems you solved, and it was all very fast, but what kind of price range are we talking here for
Great.
what we saw today?
Yeah, let's pull it up. If you go back one slide.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, so for ChatUNS, right? ChatUNS is an application. It assumes you have a UNS ready. That is like, you sign up like ChatGPT, and it's $125 per month. Right now, it doesn't have a token limit. If we find someone out there that is just really effective at hitting it all day long, then we'd love to chat. But right now, in the early testing, people are, they have pointed questions, and that includes up to 5 users because teams are usually, of that composition. So that's what you would expect to pay for that. For Neuron, so Neuron is a big data ops platform that we sell on a subscription basis. That is $12.75 a month, and it includes 50 modules. A module is basically something that acquires data. So that can be a DMP server, Modbus, BACnet, whatever it is. We do that on a subscription basis. Again, we try to encourage folks to buy more tech, to buy a full stack of technology versus one big piece of technology that's going to get dust over many years. And then lastly, JohnJohn.ai for the folks that purchase Top Server, OPC router. So Top Server, to give you a sense, for the full set of drivers is about $3,600. And that would come as part of a service and support agreement. So that's roughly where the pricing lands.
Awesome.
Okay.
I love the transparent pricing.
Yeah,
That's
for
great.
sure.
So I have another question for our less digitally maybe mature sites or those who are scared of the internet, like you say. Does this work if somebody only had a local on-prem broker, or is this exclusively a cloud solution?
So right now, the early stages, it is cloud solution. We're trying to package it to be able to provide any on-prem solution as well. So it is not accessible right now, but that is the plan, to be able to package these so you can actually run it on your local network and be able to connect to your enclosed UNS.
By the way, somebody said, holy shit, Software Toolbox went to the future and came back with great tech. Whoever said that, I'll buy you a beer later. But we do encourage or are trying to encourage the move to the cloud, okay? To be completely transparent with everyone, when great features are put in the cloud, that typically moves organizations to go and consume that. So we are trying to cut your time to decision making, cut your time to insight dramatically. I used to work with a plant manager in Mexico. At the end of every month, this poor guy, he had to extract Excel, do pivot tables, make a PowerPoint report. These are like the worst 2 weeks of his life, okay? The worst 2 weeks of his life. This thing takes all of that away, right? He lives at the edge too, just at the edge of a room where he is being pulled in. So we're hoping to deliver that kind of value in the cloud so that it'll motivate you to get some data up there and use it.
All right, another question we have from the audience. Can the chat UNS be customized to use our own API endpoint for large language models?
Great question. Absolutely something that we're looking into. We are very aware that many of your organizations probably already negotiated workloads with some of the large cloud providers. And so, yeah, we'd be willing to look into that as part of our enterprise deployment. Part of us giving you good answers is giving models good system prompts, good context prompts, figuring out which model does a better job at what. Some models do a better job at computing analysis. Some models do a better job of synthesizing. One model for sure does a better job at creating images. So sometimes just swapping you to your model may not get you the results. So yeah, we are open to looking at those things in an enterprise deployment. Our initial focus is to get you models that work for the task. Models that work for the task. Especially now, we no longer live in a world really where one single model does everything. The models are more and more do certain things. But open to exploring that. Just come see us at the booth. Come see me, come see Rod. Happy to discuss that. If we have Top Server, can we auto-feed logs it generates to JohnJohn.ai so it can analyze any ongoing issues and provide an alert? I believe the answer is yes. I believe the answer is yes. Customers have been sending us logs, error messages, screenshots. We just put them on there. Response time from this to this. So, yeah.
All right, next question. Can you model data from the OPC-UA companion specifications like PAC-ML and MT Connect?
I'm going to let Rod take that one.
Yeah, so I think in particular here, where we're talking about modeling data, we're talking about Neuron. Neuron has very powerful scripting edges that allows us to do that. I think that's pretty much how we were able to do the Sesame profiles, because Sesame profiles are nothing more than a JSON schema, right? So yeah, we should be able to do that as well.
There's a great question at the bottom, by the way. Can JohnJohn utilize proprietary knowledge for RAG? So the answer is yes. 3 years ago, when LLMs launched, the major problem was hallucination. That's why the main application was creative composition. We have grounded all of that in the corpus of our support tickets, in the corpus of our knowledge base, so that it is always getting you an answer for a real problem. So yes, we are absolutely using internal data for RAG. that data is anonymized, so that data does not contain any client information. It is technical data. There was a problem, there was a solution, this was the controller, this was the version, and that's what it's doing.
So we have another question kind of on the security aspect again. They thought it was cool that you browse the Opto22 namespace. Is there any like security configuration in your side to restrict topic access, or would that be something that it's on the end user to do that with the broker, saying only this many topics can be accessed by John?
Great question, and you've already given the answer. We find that a lot of people tend to restrict that at the broker level. Yeah, we have not yet worked on profiles, something we could do later. What we see typically is there are controls teams or digital transformation teams. There's 4, 5, 6, 7 people there. Generally, they try to unencrypt the information flow at this level to all get answers. So we're trying to enable that. We definitely don't want to have, there's Windows access, data access, broker access. By the time you get to here, then there is nothing. So yeah, this one does not manage profiles in its current state, but it could down the line if it is a real problem.
So while you guys were having a lot of fun doing this challenge, did your agents make any interesting discoveries or find any anomalies in the virtual factories?
Yeah.
We can go back and play around, but go for it.
The great things we're seeing is pretty much actually seeing the support team that you guys interact with on the daily, being able to use it and being able to answer questions much quicker. In the past, I mean, if you guys do your own troubleshooting, you'll know how longer it takes you to do this. One of the great things that this being able to expedite is how fast we can respond to you, not only with a competent response, but also an actual solution. So that's been awesome to do that. As far, because the focus is trying to help you troubleshoot your connectivity issues. As far as chat UNS, it helped us understand the actual UNS for ProveIt. Because it was, when it started, it was just 3 enterprises, A, B, and C, right? And then we saw Avalera. I mean, Dylan was pumping 10,000 topics to this thing, and it was pretty awesome to crawl through it and using chat UNS to be able to understand exactly what each one of them were doing. That's why we kind of landed in Opto22, because they were actually doing a killer of a job with their data. Yep. And providing a lot of power description of consumption, total power usage, all that. So
a few examples. And again, I encourage you, just go sign up on your phone. So I was looking, for example, at the compressors and actually asking it, like, what can we do to reduce the energy consumption in one of the compressors? It came up with a full plan. It said actually like leaks. It had a whole plan for how to address leaks. In the compliance issues on Enterprise C, it came up specifically with what are the list of likely risk markers for compliance. We didn't talk about Enterprise B. Enterprise B is really spotty. Line 1 or Site 1 is very good at OEE information, and then Site 2 and Site 3 are not, so it has a data remediation plan. So it'll go in the direction that you take it. Again, one of the important things is computers do what you tell them to do, not what you want them to do. So that is why we have suggested questions at the bottom. So I would always urge you to start there, because we have it starting itself or initializing with a specific role that's going to kind of take you in that direction of finding some meaty issues. But have at it for the rest of the week. I think you're going to find some really, really interesting things in there.
So let's say people are having fun with the chat feature. If it generated any dashboards, can that be shared? Is that a feature yet, or?
In this case, the sharing would be you download an image and send it over an email or test it. That's up to the policies of your organization on how you choose to distribute that. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, another question. Is this a custom LLM, or is it using one of the other providers? I'm guessing they're asking, is this like an OpenAI, Claude?
Yeah, no. So we're using model routing to go to different types of LLMs. For sure, we're using the latest OpenAI 5.2 and other models. Yeah, we are not using OpenRouter. Yeah, we are not using any Chinese models. We are not using DeepSeek or anything like that. Yeah.
All right, this might be our last question.
By the way, the architecture question I find comes up quite a lot. So as a Silicon Valley the last 3 years, we're using all the good stuff. So models, OpenRouter, Pinecone, Redis, on cache storage, on Vector. Vercel is for the hosting, so we got a lot of good ingredients, no hyperscalers.
But I will add that OpenRouter is going to be part of the feature because we want to give the flexibility if somebody likes different type of answers. That's definitely what we're, right now we want to make sure this thing works and it's going to provide value for the end user.
And you incorporated cost management.
Correct.
So low value question, therefore use a cheaper LLM.
Correct.
Right? If it's a high value question, then go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Spend the money on high
Yeah. I think once you get to consistent low-value questions, you just have cache, right? You're just caching questions all day long, specifically for answers. Now, one of the things that is happening soon, so again, we want to make sure people this week can actually use it, which is why we preloaded it. Again, if you go with ProveIt code, it'll load it up. There is an agent mode on it, which is you go to sleep, and then the next morning, it's got a digest for you, so it scans the UNS, and it summarizes what are the things that it found based on those operational questions. This is the same for John and the same for Chat UNS. It's just scanning what are potential issues that you have and giving you a digest in the morning. So again, we really believe in the AI should be working for you. And so you should go to bed and wake up in the morning and be like, okay, these are the things that are wrong or that I should be looking at, or I didn't ask it what is OEE because I think everybody's probably going to ask it what is OEE this week. So you guys can go ahead and do that, but it obviously does that. So it'll be okay.
Incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we
What else?
have, I think we've run out of time for Q&A. So if you have any other questions, I highly encourage you to go to your booth. What's your booth number again?
16.
16. Sweet 16.
Absolutely. Do you want to add anything, Walker, if you're here? Okay.
All right. Awesome.
All right. So now everybody, yeah, please give them a round
Thank
of
you.
applause.
Thank you all. Thank you to the team. Victory music, or that's it? Oh, now we're hanging out. We're hanging out.
Now we're hanging out. So
awesome.
I want to be clear, the next 15 minutes, this is definitely your break. If you need to get some water, run to the bathroom, please do. But Andres was kind enough to say that he will hang out a little bit.
Sure.
And we're going to talk with the audience. We have some fun questions. So yeah, let's get to it. So I guess I want people to raise their hand.
What's up, guys?
Raise your hand if you think this is true. Leave your hand down if you think this is false. In 5 years, every plant will have an AI agent running 24/7. What do we think? Walker's hand is up. You know the right answer. All right, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, I have a microphone.
You're right.
Okay. All right. These are all AI questions are a booby trap. I'll just start there. All AI questions are a booby trap. First, what is an agent? It's an autonomous piece of software that has a goal, uses a reasoning model, finds tools to do the job along the way, tasks those tools via MCP, gives you a suggestion, gives you decision support. And the tool is in the loop of a human, not the other way around. We have 50 billion miles of FSD driving, and a Tesla still needs human intervention. So it'll be a while until the whole thing is fully autonomous. So will there be an agent? Yes, 100%. What will it do? Most likely, for sure, a task. We have been having discussions on agents that monitor a pasteurization process. You cannot have a human staring at the pasteurization process 24/7. It's very exhausting, right? Or the sterilization process in pharmaceuticals, or wellhead monitoring. They're very discrete tasks that are require looking at lots of information 24/7, which are very well suited for agents. And the tools to build those things are already here. There's actually Anthropic put out a State of AI Agents report 5 days ago. I read it on the plane. It's heavily biased towards coding and agents. Everybody is driving their narrative. But single task agents very much are, you can make them work if you have the right tooling. Now, after that, you have multitask agents in the same domain. I believe for sure we will also see a lot of that. Again, I spent a lot of time in food and bev a year and a half ago. I can see how you're monitoring mix, pasteurization, filling, all the way to palletizing, if you have the right data coming out of those systems, for sure. Now, third step, do you have agents in multitask across domains? Yeah, sure, harder. Maybe for some non-core functions, I think, like support functions or things like that. But absolutely, we are trending in that direction. No one's putting the genie back in the bottle. In that sense, is what I would say. And yeah, hopefully you are looking at places where there are labor vacuums, where a lot of data needs to be looked at, and considering on deploying agents there. One of the things that doesn't get talk a lot about is a lot of the uprise in AI are labor vacuums, which you talked about today. That's right. COVID, the people went away, there's a gap, there's no supervisors, it takes 3 years to get a supervisor, so it's very hard. So agents do a great job at filling up some of those vacuums.
So if you think that we're all eventually going to go that way, we're all going to have these AI agents, what do you think today, though, is the biggest barrier? Actually, does anybody in the audience have any ideas what their thoughts are? What do you think is the biggest? Yeah. Wait, Walker, let's get you a mic, man.
So I think the two biggest barriers is that fear, so a lack of understanding of where agentic AI can effectively be leveraged in a way that doesn't hurt people. I think the immediate reaction is my job, it's the same thing. We're in the same paradigm as it was with automation. That's number one. Number two, from a strategic perspective, I think that business leaders are focusing on AI to solve problems AI is not best suited to solve. And so I think the best way for us to experience the reality of 5 years from now, having agents running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that we should look at two primary things for agents to do for us. That is, agents are objective focused. We give them an objective, and then they basically are the supervisor of that objective. So it could be something like, the objective could be, let's measure this temperature sensor every 10 seconds and store it in this transaction field, right? That's, if you ask a co-op to do that, and you give a co-op a clipboard and a piece of paper and say, measure this temperature sensor every 10 minutes and put it there, the first 3 measurements will be accurate, and then every measurement after that will be garbage. So I think if we focus on the things that human beings have low fidelity in, that's number one. So if the tasks we want agents to be responsible for are things that tasks or humans are not good at, like data fidelity, that's one good task. I think the second thing that we need to ask agents to do, the things we need to be leveraging agents to do, are things that we don't expect them to be to get perfect. So it's just like in leadership. You're a leader of an organization. You would never delegate something to someone that you needed to be perfect. You would, if the first time you're delegating, you better be comfortable with the person you're delegating to only getting it 70% right. So it's the same thing with agents. Delegate things to agents that you're okay with agents only getting 70% right, and the human being will take it the last mile. And I think if we do those two focuses, then yeah, we'll get there.
Awesome. Thank you, Walker. Andres, what's your thought?
No, I mean, I have a lot of views from, and they give me heartburn, to be honest. Well, several things. You talked, I was a sailor, and in sailing you say off by a degree, off by a mile, right? So you're off by a degree here, down there, technically you're off by 60 miles. And so the first thing for sure is like, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Like, did you look at the P&L? Are you trying to hit a cost item in the COGS? Are you trying to hit an expense? Like, what exactly are you trying to solve for? Most people cannot articulate it. They cannot articulate the value pool. They cannot articulate the problem. I talked to a company last week that is in the consumer goods space. They're trying to do machine learning. In the phone, said like, what are you trying to predict? And their answer was, well, that's the point. We don't really know. And I was like, you should know that before you started. They're like, well, we thought it was this, and now we think it's this. So in general, the canvassing of some forms of AI, just start with, what are you trying to solve? The second thing is, there is unfortunately extreme confusion, doesn't need to be there, about what AI is. So a lot of the consultants, a lot of people get up there and say, 90% of AI fails. So I ask, like, what AI are you talking about? And they can't answer. So are you talking about machine learning? I would say maybe 50% of machine learning fails because you can't find enough features. Computer vision, very little fails, very reliable if you train it right. Generative AI, there's productized, applied, and build your own. ChatGPT didn't really fail, it's pretty good. Applied, maybe if you hired the wrong vendor. Do it yourself, yeah, sure, that fails. And agentic, like which type of agentic? Single task, multitask. So that is the second problem. Like people don't really understand that AI is a salad bowl of technologies. So just approach it super broadly and they end up using the wrong one. And I think that is the third problem. And I'll give you a story. I was serving a breaded products manufacturer in Mexico. So they said, hey, we need to solve a problem with energy consumption. And we're gonna use machine learning. Okay, great. What's consuming the most energy? The chiller. Okay, great. let's plot it first, right? So they plot the chiller Grafana on Wonderware, I think Grafana Wonderware. It's just completely crazy, ups and downs. It's like, look, you don't need machine learning for this. It's like set a top threshold, dial it down, and that was it. Like simple visualization killed the problem. Then came the second stage. It was a mix gets added to a breaded product. Eventually the waste gets stuck in conveyors, the line gets stopped. Okay, we need to use machine learning for this. Sure. Okay, let's go in there. The VSDs don't have sensors. They're all this and this and this and that. Hey, turns out you can get a $20 Wi-Fi camera, put it at the top of the line, and do inference on an LLM, and it'll tell you there's too much mixture. Stop the line. So you don't need machine learning for that. You can use vision or a multimodal LLM. So a lot of folks, because they don't understand that there's a salad bowl of technologies, don't always know what to apply to what. And that I find is a real problem. And it only gets amplified by consultants and a lot of people that get armchair experts that say, this is what AI is, but they don't really know. And by the way, I don't want to be mean, but if you ask a senior partner in a consulting firm, what is AI? They cannot tell you the different types of AI. They cannot. They cannot. They don't even know, they still talk about NLP. NLP is dead. Gen AI killed it, and they cannot. So it's unfortunate, but true.
All right, so we only have 4 minutes till the next presentation, so we're going to be really quick on the last question. Audience, I want you to raise your hand. What's harder, getting data for the AI or getting people to use it? Raise your hand for getting data. All right. Oh, okay. Raise your hand for getting people to use it. Okay, so you have, can you do this in 2 minutes? I want to hear your thoughts.
I think both of them are hard. I was reading an example yesterday of somebody that did some type of AI deployment on a tablet up in like Pittsburgh in a steel in a steel operation. And it turns out people like to go indoors to look at the paper because that's where they get their cup of coffee. So it's hard to beat humans, So look, the answer is like both are hard. Getting data is very hard. Data works at different frequencies depending on different types of AI. Machine learning needs very rich time series data. That's very hard to line up. Generative AI is very well suited for things like a UNS, but getting all of that is hard, as we just saw. So I would put that aside. I would say the human element is equally hard.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Is there anybody in here who does not use ChatGPT, Claude, or Grok? Is there anybody in here who does not use ChatGPT, Claude, or Grok? Anybody? You've never
Back there.
used an agent?
There's one. All right, you and I are hanging out later. I'm gonna buy you a beer and bring you into the AI age, sir.
So here's the deal.
Yeah,
It is not hard to get people to use AI. Every person in this room, we got 100% adoption since November of 2022. The hard part is convincing people that it's valuable for them. That's the hard part, and that comes through the data piece. Yeah.
I will say we are internally tooled up to the hill on AI. We use Otter for note taking, Whisper Flow to type, Claude Code, ChatGPT for our internal stuff, so we use it extensively. Anyhow, we have a workshop tomorrow. I'll be talking more about AI, how to deploy it. I have real world experience doing this. Again, I took a sabbatical in 2020 as a partner at McKinsey on my dime to code it from the ground up. I was a coder by training out of college. And so I can talk a little bit about how you do that and how you may want to think about what to deploy next. With that, go to chatuns.ai, play around, and have a wonderful week. Thank you, Walker. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out.
All right, you got it.
It's great.